Hello everyone and welcome to the joinDOTA League Season 2. This is the Asia region and this is Division 1. This is Game 1 of a best of 2 series between Aero Gaming and Scythe, a couple of pretty recognizable teams. So after being delayed about 35 minutes, we're finally in the game. So good stuff. If you're watching the summit, you can have that on your other monitor as well. So good stuff coming out. Oh yeah, and I'm Roxas. I'm going to be the English broadcaster. I was like, I'm forgetting something. I should just tell people who I am, I suppose. But anyway, bans coming out. Aero going to ban out the Brewmaster as well as the Ancient Apparition, both very annoying heroes to deal with. Specifically Brew. I've been watching some games and thinking like, Brew is kind of whatever, but then you play some games against him and you're like, wow, this guy's bullshit. Why do I not just ban this hero all the time? But he's the most annoying thing about him is just if he has his ultimate up, you can get him to very low health, but then he just turns a fight. It's like a bait. It's kind of like chasing a bristleback as well. You think you can kill him, but then he just kills your whole team anyway. It's kind of annoying. So anyway, Scythe, they're going to ban out Invoker and Doom. They usually ban out these two heroes. Naga Siren is in the pool. We do know that Miracle likes picking up his Naga Siren nice and early, usually if it is given to him, and they are on the Radiant side, and there it goes. So they go ahead and, after a little bit of deliberation, decide to pick up their Naga Siren. One of the few teams that really still prioritizes this hero after a few nerfs in 6.81. Not 6.81b, but just in the patch in general. So Aero, they get the 2 picks they want. If they want to get a Bat Rider, that is in the pool. They could also get a Clockwork, they could get a Shadow... Oh yeah, Lycan. How did I... Lycan's in the pool, and they're on Dire. Well, okay. I don't know how I totally forgot about Lycan for a second, but sometimes you see so many heroes so often that you just don't really think about them anymore. You just kind of assume that they're in the pool, or vice versa. So they get their Dire side Lycan, and Scythe can pick up a Bat Rider if they'd like to. Dazzle, very, very annoying support as well. Just being able to grave anyone in a fight can absolutely turn a fight, and I think very few supports have one spell that can be so turning in a team fight that isn't an ultimate. Something that comes to mind are like Fiend's Grip. I mean, Disruption defensively is arguably like that as well, but things like Fiend's Grip, Demonic Purge, a support Naga Siren with a Song of the Siren as well. Very, very few spells are up there with Shallow Grave as far as their power later in the game, at the very least, especially since it can be casted on your Magic Immune units, and Lycan's going to be building a BKB, plus that doesn't say, what if you have a Death Prophet or something else. So Scythe, now the game becomes 4 Protect 1. It becomes 4 Protect Miracle, let him get his farm up on that Naga Siren, and let me see. I don't know. Like, I always think that Enchantress is pretty good against push lineups like this. I'm actually having a hard time. Like, everything that's coming to mind is pretty difficult, because I can't really think of one hero that really deals with both of these guys. Because you think of Tree, you think of... And you can secure Shadow Demon, which is great, because you don't want to fight against the Shadow Demon Dazzle. Yeah, I don't know, I was thinking of Tinker, I was thinking of Tree, but... I was thinking of, Enchantress, but... Things are kind of hard. But they're going to go with Shadow Demon, and that's a smart pickup, if nothing else, that... It's good to not go against, especially when you have a Radiance carrying hero such as Naga Siren, because you can just disrupt the illusions you get, and then you get the Radiance for your team, at least for that little duration during the fight. There isn't that Radiance advantage, and Demonic Purge is pretty good against Lycan as well. So they also ban out DDZ's Tinker coming out in this last phase. Miracle's thinking a lot about this as well. They're also playing with 2 stand-ins, so this might be coming into a little bit to influence the draft, but mainly Tinker, Chen being banned out, those make a lot of sense. I think a Dire side Enchantress works very well, just because of the additional Roshan power as well as being able to push. Darkseer are going to be banned out from Aero. They realize that would be kind of a pain in the ass as far as Lycan's ability to farm the lane, as well as the combination with the Naga Siren Sleep, as well as the Vacuum Wall classic combination as well. So Aero with this last ban should be really solidifying their draft. I think that they could, okay, Centaur, that makes sense, but they're going to ban out the Centaur, and I think a Death Prophet, Dragon Knight, all these pushing heroes make a lot of sense. I mean, Bat Rider is still in the pool, which is something that's kind of astounding to me, but they could pick up a third pick Bat Rider, if they so desired. They could pick up another Necrobook carrier. They pick up an offlane Tide Hunter. Pretty strong on the Dire side. So offlane Tide, going to be giving them an element in the team fight. It also block picks it from Scythe. And Scythe, they kind of snap pick the Bristleback. I don't think it would be an offlane Bristleback. I'm not really a big fan of that. I mean, me being a fan of it or not doesn't actually affect whether they decide to do it. But Bristleback in the safe lane I think would work very well, especially with the Shadow Demon. With the Soul Catcher, it actually does a lot of damage. And Arrow Gaming, they could pick up something such as, they could pick up a Slardar if they really wanted to and run the Lycan mid. That gives a lot of minus armor. But I think Dragon Knight or Death Prophet make a lot of sense. They go ahead and pick up Tree. So Tree, been ignored at this point. I don't think they really wanted to necessarily fear going against it, just because when you have so many minions attacking the towers, it doesn't really matter. Really the biggest thing that happens is Lycan will slowly chip down the opponent's offlane tower, just as the laning phase is breaking down, as the offlaner kind of goes and does the things that offlaners do. But that's usually impossible with a Tree, but still, it's not the biggest skill in the world. It is Overgrowth, which does go through BKB, which Lycan would want to build and can stop his shapeshift, but still. They have a lot of slows and not a whole lot of stuns, so they don't really have much to cancel TPs except for Ravage and Overgrowth right now. So it looks like it actually will be an offlane Bristleback, unless they want to throw a safe lane Bristleback and go aggressive with the Shadow Demon Mirana. And this makes sense because one of the best things you can do against a pushing lineup is just go and gank them while they're farming. Because they need a couple of items, and then they start the 5-man, and then it gets really hard. And the Arrow thinks it's a support roaming Shadow Demon Mirana, which is pretty popular in the C scene. But last ban, Scythe's going to ban out the OD. Doesn't want Miracle to not get any last hits in the lane. That would be pretty annoying. So Death Prophet, Dragon Knight are the two that kind of stick out to me as far as Arrow Gaming's strategy might be concerned. I guess if they pick up a Dragon Knight, then Scythe could go for a Timbersaw, which could be really annoying because then you have 4 strength heroes going up against a Timbersaw.
10 seconds
but
remaining.
That would obviously force you to get a support bottom, which I don't know if they want to do that or not. So anyway, they have a lot of bonus time. I think that I've already expressed my opinion. Dragon Knight, that DP make the most sense to me. They do have the propensity of getting jumped if they have both those heroes, and those are BKB building heroes that are going to be facing against a Naga Siren who has Ensnare that is a target that goes, or is a Ensnare that goes through BKB, so that would be kind of annoying. But still, well, or they could go for some more team fight control. Maybe they could go for something like a Timbersaw for themselves to go against that Bristleback, or especially with reactive armor and living armor, it's quite easy. And you don't need to go full push. You can do something such as have the Lycan, and it's the same as having a Luna where you win a fight and then the towers just melt really, really easily, and that's just kind of a liability of the other team to make sure that they really are smart with picking their fights, or even smarter than they normally would have to because the consequences are a little bit greater. Or you could just go for the full-on push strat. So they're taking a lot of time to really think about this. I'm running out of things to say. They go with a Gyrocopter. Okay. So it looks like it's going to be a Lycan in the mid lane. They go with the Gyrocopter. I'm not so sure about that. So the thing about the Gyrocopter is he's actually quite squishy. He's another BKB building hero that's going to be controlled still by Demonic Purge and Ensnare coming up from Naga Siren. If there's some sort of aggressive lane, it is a roaming support Shadow Demon bottom as Scythe goes for a Juggernaut. This is, I mean, it's on a cookie cutter draft, which I like about it, but I did not really predict a whole lot about it. So it will be a Juggernaut. Looks like it'll probably be a safe lane Juggernaut, and then roaming Shadow Demon bottom, as well as a off-lane Bristleback. I think that makes the most sense to me. The thing is, everyone needs a lot of farm on Scythe's side, but so does Arrow. I mean, Dire's Eye Lycan's just so freaking good. I hardly ever really want to doubt that. So, we'll see how it plays out. I think the Gyrocopter is okay. The thing is, Naga Siren's going to build very tanky. Polison, he's going to build pretty tanky as well, so the magic damage that's going to be coming out in the early stages from Rocket Barrage and Call Down is not going to be that significant. Juggernaut's going to be getting his Omni Slash, which goes through BKB and does a lot as well, so we'll see how it works out. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and introduce the teams. On the Gyrocopter, on the side of Arrow in this game one, it's going to be Lance. We're going to have Zingzai on the offlane Tidehunter. Going to be DDZ going mid as the Lycan. Johnny going to be the support Treant Protector, and Mosin going to be helping him out as the Dazzle. And I thought we were not going to have a pause, but okay, we don't have a pause. Perfect. Anyway, going to the offlane as a Bristleback, we're going to have Polison. On the Juggernaut, it's going to be Chibix, tagged up as Father. I guess that doesn't really do it a whole lot of justice, but and then on the Shadow Demon, we're going to have the two stand-ins. It's going to be Kai on the Shadow Demon and Infinity on the Potom. And last but not least, on his trademark Naga Siren, it's going to be Miracle going in the mid lane. So, as this laning stage is coming to pass, it seems, Polison's picked up a lot of regen. There was already a ward placed down here from Zingzai. He got boots first, went ahead and got that down nice and early. I like the ward meta. It's kind of, people have been putting wards here, or putting, usually as you were an offlaner, you would cut down this tree and put the ward right here, because it gave vision up this way and also gave vision this way and this way. It just gave you a lot as far as just one ward placement, and it was unlikely to be dewarded. Most of the time people are putting the sentry ward here to catch a ward here, or catch a ward in this area, so these wards are not going to be dewarded. And so what if they pull the camp? Most of the time, ever since, this is a long time ago, but ever since the offlaner, or the shared EXP thing was changed with neutral creeps, most offlaners just kind of want this to be pulled, because then all of a sudden they don't have to run up in this part of the lane where they make, oh, is this going to be dewarded? Yeah, well, oh, nice. Warding meta red. But they don't have to put themselves in this area where they can just be wrapped around and get ganked. So they get to just kind of wander around right here where it's a little bit safer. But Potom does reveal herself in the bottom lane, so it looks like Zingzai will stand back a little bit. Lycan against Miracle. Going to be having a harder time. Riptide is really, really annoying to deal with as a melee here. He uses Howl at level 1 to try to secure himself some CS, and doing pretty decently so far, but I would ultimately favor Miracle in this matchup. Just Naga Siren against melee heroes in general, plus not to mention he's got tons and tons of experience playing any of the sort of those matchups in particular. And he actually, in these first two waves, only missed one last hit, so and that was actually a deny. So really good from him. Polison doesn't have level 2 just yet, so he needs to be a bit careful. Rocket Barrage is going to be there. Body Block is coming as well, but he's still pretty tanky. So he'll be able to salve up, I think. He probably doesn't even need to. So good on him. The bottom lane, Zingzai, he has not hit level 2 just yet, but you know, when you have a very, very good killing support duo such as this, it's going to be pretty difficult. So he'll probably just go and stack the Ancients, then check the 2-minute rune. It's kind of tough to be an offlaner sometimes. You kind of sit around at level 2, you wait until like 10 minutes, and you're like, alright guys, can I get anything? It's like, I'll go be a walking ward. I'll go check the runes and everything. But anyway, Polison gets zoned out a little bit. He has hit his level 2, picks up a salve. He's going to go check the top rune. It's an illusion rune. Miracle does have his bottle. He has his quelling blade as well. The wolf is going to go to try there to get to deny it, but Polison will be able to just take it. And we'll get to be able to get some farm from the wolf. Oh yeah, that juicy, juicy EXP. But in the meantime, Infinity and Kai just pulling, as well as Johnny and Mosin just going to be pulling. Trying to get the double pull. Bristleback's actually going to contest that with the illusion, so good use there. Zingzai went ahead and stacked the Ancients, and in the mid lane. So this is just normal stuff. When you set up a lane that's really good at killing, the offlaner just kind of chills, tries to get what they can, and they just don't die. Mid lane is just very even, and both carries are going to get their farm. Lance did go boots first, which is something we've actually seen more and more on Gyrocopter in particular. Ooh, Kai, does he get to block this? They block with the Sentry Ward, so they know he's stacking the Ancients. Beastmaster Syndrome. Gonna go ahead and ward those off. It's not really the biggest deal. I think that you can't really farm too many stacks with that until you have at least like level 3 or so. So, regardless. I was saying, boots first on Jar. This has just been a very aggressive thing. It doesn't really help you farm or anything in particular. It doesn't. Normally we would see something like a Ring of Protection to bring into the Sage's Mask nice and early, because Ring of Basileus is a very, very good item. Is there smoke? Where are the supports? Okay, they went up top. Yeah, they went up top. So Bane Bottom went up top and smoked. They're going to be trying to get a kill here as the tower's pushing in. So, Disruption's there, Arrow, and it's going to be there. Soulcatcher catches him at the last second. First blood going to be for Kai. And Johnny, he's going to be in trouble too. Leech is there, giving him a little bit of regen living armor as well. But Lance, well, those boots first are paying off now. He has his phase boots as well. He eats a tango, and first gank really successful. And now Polson getting tons and tons of experience up in this top lane. So almost level 4 off of that. Good rotation coming in. Interestingly enough, Chibix actually went for the non-stats build. He went for the healing ward at level 2, and he's gone for the crit at level 4. So very, very aggressive play coming out from him. It means he wants to push his tower early. He wants to get those small crits to be harassing Xingzai out of lane. Normally what we would see is, obviously the stats build that we normally see for heroes like Juggernaut, Sven, Wraith King, is they'll just level up their Q maximum, whether it be Blade Fury, Wraith Fire Blast, get stats at level 2 and 4 just to help their mana pool. And then get their ult at level 6, obviously, and then start leveling up the other skills. But still, very, very aggressive play coming out from Chibix, and at least he gets a healing ward. Wolves are harassing him a little bit from the Lycan in the mid lane. But, gonna be no biggie. Miracle, does he have drums finished? No. But he's gonna be going for these drums before the Radiance. We've seen him do this before, and it's basically just so that he doesn't die on the way to his Radiance, and he gets a lot out of it. We see some people prefer something like Ring of Aquila, Poor Man's Shield, but Miracle himself usually prefers Quelling Blade, Brown Boots, Bottle, and Drums to be getting by with his mana regen and other sorts of things like that, as well as his stats to help him farm on the way to the Radiance and make sure he doesn't die. Speaking of dying, bottom lane Disruption, there was an arrow, and Blade Fury's there as well, 9 HP, going to be able to secure him with that. So no ward there, and then being off the map, he was getting a little bit greedy for his levels. I almost think that was worth it, to be totally honest, because so what? Okay, Juggernaut picks up a minus, so top lane. Alright, anyway. So, the thing about Juggernaut, and I've talked about this many times, and he's not really, like, he's sort of niche. And the reason we see him be sort of niche is he can be very effective early on, and in the mid game when he has Omni Slash and Blade Fury, just does so much damage that a lot of heroes aren't really able to put up with. And you can initiate a fight with Omni Slash and just kind of take out one support right away invulnerably. But the quote-unquote proper carries, heroes like Anti-Mage, Lifestealer, etc., he doesn't really compete with those carries unless he's really an item ahead. So there's an idea that you want to get a lot of farm on him early so that he can always be an item ahead. Or there's the philosophy of, oh, I just want to get like Drums and Aghanim Scepter and take advantage of his early to mid-game presence. This is a Robe of the Magi. It could still be for like Treads or for Drums. But going Midas into Drums is... I'm not really sure about that, to be totally honest. I guess you do have the late game in the Naga Siren, so you want to make sure that you aren't like being too greedy. We see Midas into Drums usually on heroes like Lifestealer, but the reason that he goes Midas into Drums is just because he is very susceptible to being kited unless he has a lot of supporting cast with him. So that's why Sanj and Yasha, Drums, Phase Boots is so popular on him. Not even really circumstantially, just kind of in general, because he really needs the move speed to keep up in the fights. Xingzai in the bottom lane, getting harassed by Blade Fury. Going to be a whatever sort of thing. Drug will be able to heal up with his healing ward. Polson looks like he'll be going for his mech, and the Bristleback pick with the tree and the Dazzle as well is they don't have a whole lot to really control him. Bristleback is, whenever he hits a few levels, is really hard to bring down, and now that he he is level 6. He can kind of just man up. He's going to have a bit of mana problems as well, but going to be okay in this offlane. There aren't really hard stuns to really lock him down. That's what Bristleback really suffers from. He suffers from things like Vengeful Spirit into a Marana Arrow, and stuns that both do stun long duration and do a lot of damage. But still, DD Rune gets denied from Infinity. Good awareness down there. Sees it with that ward, sees Lycan going for it, goes ahead and denies it. But Xingzai picked up a lot now. He's only died once, hit level 5 at 8.5 minutes. Pretty good, as well as having his Arcane Boots. So whether he decides to go for a mech first, or if he decides to go for the Blink Dagger, remains to be seen. I think that going for probably the Blink Dagger is usually what I'm a big fan of, but Blink Dagger kind of falling out a bit out of fashion just with heroes like Tidehunter, because you just kind of want to rely on your team to set you up, and you get the mech, which is such a big utility item anyway. It's obviously more popular on heroes like Darkseer because, well, he has the mana pool to deal with it. He can farm it up a lot more quickly, and he's always going to be in team fights. So, but he doesn't need mobility as much as well because he has Surge, whereas other heroes such as Tidehunter, they don't have Surge. So I think that they'll be fine, because if they get the Blink, if they get the mech on Tide, then all of a sudden Tree can buy a Blink Dagger instead as well, and Tidehunter's getting his Blink a little bit earlier. But they're going to be looking to push this tower a little bit. Living Armor going to be really, really annoying. So you can't really do some chip damage. Wolves spotting out Infinity. He's going to have to leap away. He goes for a Ring of Regen, or Ring of Health, interestingly enough. He does have his Mana Boots. Normally on support bottom, we just see like mech Mana Boots and then into whatever utility items you decide to get, whether you get Diffusal and Desolator are both really considered utility items, I would say, just because of their use to the team. With the minus armor that helps your team does so much more damage, as well as the active for the Purge. But this Ring of Health is interesting. Oh, hold on. That was someone else's Ring of Health. Okay. Was that Juggernaut's Ring of Health? I'll have to check in just a moment. Top lane. Okay. Anyway, bottom lane, Xingzai. Gonna be taking a bit of damage here. But he always thought about blowing the Ravage. He stopped himself, though. But we haven't been looking at Lycan too much. DDZ has been farming up pretty decently. He's got 54 for 6 last hits. Obviously lost the lane to Miracle. Pretty tough as a melee hero against Naga Siren, especially someone as experienced as Miracle. And he's just been bottle crowing. Going to be looking to get that Radiance up. But he has his Vlads. Whether he looks for the Medallion build or if he looks for anything better. Oh, top lane, Pullison. He's getting really ballsy here. Uses the 6 charges. Oh, the disruption, though. The last right click from Dazzle going to be able to clean him up. Lance, he gets arrowed as well. Living Armor is there. Call down as well. Chivix, he does not have the mana for an Omni Slash. And Tide comes in. He blows the Ravage. Shallow Grave is there on Lance, so Chivix is going to be taking a lot of damage as well. Pops a Healing Ward. Shadow Demon, he's already gone down. Anchor Smash gets him the double kill. So good rotations coming in. First use of the Ravage. And Shallow Grave was used, so 3 for 1. Poulsen getting a little bit ballsy right there. Yeah, it looked like that was Juggernaut's Ring of Health, so currently there's no item in the game that is built from Robe of the Magi and Ring of Health. I mean, he could go for treads off of this Robe of the Magi and get a Battle Fury if he wants. Battle Fury Jug is one of those things you kind of... Okay, he's not building treads. Alright, just lots of casual items. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Unless this is like... This is owned by him, right? It would say owned by someone else if it wasn't in his inventory. So regardless, he could build a Battle Fury, which the cleave does go during Omni Slash, but still, Battle Fury Jug is one of those things that we see in pubs because it's in the recommended build, and it's like, oh, why'd you go Battle Fury on Jug, you noob? But it can be okay. I still think that Ags for the money is still so much better, though, especially when you have a heavy farmer like Miracle on your team that's going to be soaking up most of the farm on the map anyway. He can build this into a Refresher if he's thinking really far ahead and really pub-starry, but you can build it into a Pipe. We've seen Illidan build Pipe on Jug, but I mean, that's Illidan. No one else is like that. It looks like they're going to be building Medallion on Tree. So it's going to be the early Roche with DDZ. He's not going to go for Medallion. It looks like they'll go ahead and get the Medallion over on Johnny. Pretty smart pickup for him as well, as he does do a lot of damage and he's pretty tanky himself, so when he's manning up and he gets the Howl as well as Medallion, he can almost solo most heroes, as long as they don't get away from the Leech Seed. Miracle has a DD still farming up, hasn't put a point in ensnare, went ahead and went for the stats. Normally what we would see is something such as 1 point in ensnare, as late as you can get it, and then getting the rest in the stats. Chivix still pushing this bottom lane. There is a tree, so I'm going to force a glyph at the very least. So no glyph for 5 more minutes. Polison has finished up the mech, so maybe looking for his arcane boots or something to that degree. Maybe even something like a Vladimir's Offering, which gives him a little bit more mana, as well as some lifesteal. And there are a lot of melee heroes on his team, the only 2 ranged supports as well. But looks like Johnny, he's going to get caught here. Disruption. Oh, he got fogged though. He gets fogged again. Up the stairs. Good pathing from Johnny. Shadow Poison trying to scout him out. And Polison's going to be going there as well. Johnny, he gets Nazelgood. And then there's the call down though. Disruption is there as well. Polison, he doesn't really give too much of a hoot. Lance, he's throwing the Rocket Barrage out on Johnny. Here comes the Tide Hunter. Sorry, Shadow Demon. He gets taken down. Kai is going down. Polison got so much minus armor from that weave. Is he going to be able to TP out? Trying to get the fog. Yes, he got the jukes. Needs to TP out. Needs 1 more mana. Is he going to get it? Johnny, 1 more right click. Oh, he gets it. Mosin is able to take that. So, these fights being turned by these rotations coming in from Mosin as well as Xingzai. Doing a lot. Potom has picked up an Invisor and just kind of chilling mid, taking a lot of experience. Jug does in the meantime. Chivix hits the bottom tower. He is going for Battle Fury. Unless that's a refresher. Could be a refresher still. But anyway. Infinity's looking for an arrow here. DDZ senses something is up and he backs off a bit. There was no sentry ward to detect it. The closest sentry ward was right over here. But they have just not put any pressure on Miracle right now, and he's... That's not his courier. Oh yeah, it's just his bottle. That's a really cute courier. How have I not seen this courier? That's adorable. Is that like a flying squirrel? Or it looks like an Eevee, almost. Regardless, top tower now being pushed. Lance, everyone except DDZ. Well, there's a disruption. This is defensive, though. Lance is coming in. He's going pretty close to his BKB, by the way. Kai getting a lot of minus armor from the weave. There's a gush as well, even more minus armor coming out. And with the flat cannon, they're going to be able to clear this wave. Looks like they want to push. Where's Lycan in all this? DDZ's just farming in the mid lane. So Jar, after getting his phase boots on the Dominator, not getting too greedy, going straight for the BKB. Been stacking... Looks like this is just a double stack. This could have been from the first, to be totally frank. I think it actually was, because there aren't any small dragons. So it looks like it hasn't been stacked at all. Xingzai did go for the mech, as previously mentioned. So splitting up their items for 5 manning after Roche, they get the medallion. Oh no, it's an urn. Okay, so where are they getting the medallion? Is Lycan getting the medallion? No, but he's got 3k gold. He's been farming pretty efficiently. Chibix pings out Roche now. He knows that things need to be done, and Miracle, after getting no pressure and winning his lane pretty handily, 100. Oh my god, 142 last hits at 16 minutes. This guy does it. This guy does it pretty well, especially when he's not contested on. He gets it on Radiant. So he gets his Radiance right away at 16 minutes. So going to be starting to push. And Lycan, instead of going for the BKB, decides to start going for the Necros. You don't really need the medallion to take the Roche, as long as you have the buff up from the Necros and you have the level 4 Wolves, which he has. Plus he has the 4 levels in Feral Impulse, so that's going to be working out. Plus Gyro now finishes up his 16-minute BKB. So everyone just farming very efficiently. How going to be used? Roche going to be taken pretty easily here, pretty uncontested, I must say, because they know that no one's defending the top lane. Chibix pretty close to his own Battle Fury. It's not like the worst item in the world. I was talking earlier about some people, you get flamed because you kind of associate it with bad players that don't really know what they're doing, but it's good for the same reason that it's good on Ember Spirit and Kunkka. Like, you don't necessarily need it to farm, but the wave clear as well as the damage and the regen really helps you a lot, especially when you're a very low-end hero such as Juggernaut, just in general. So Roche does go down for free. Miracle going to be doing his split pushing thing. Top tower did go down, but this will go down as well. Weave is there as well. Everyone has tons and tons of armor. We're going to need to see an AC on this team pretty early. Arrow, going to be catching out Zingzai, but he has Ravage, he has Living Armor, he has a mech. He's going to be really hard to bring down. Lance is pushing out the wave with the flat cannon, has the Howl as well. Howl does apply to every flat cannon hit, right? Yeah, it does. That's the same reason that Divine is really good on Gyro. So, mid tower does go down, bottom tower goes down in exchange. Not the worst to be trading, especially when the other team has a Lycan and a tree. You're pretty much on the negative end of all of the tower exchanges, just with that combination in its own right. Couple of wards placed down here, pretty aggressive wards. Down from Arrow. Miracle just going to be farming up. And he'll be dodging all these fights. He's just going to be doing his own thing. He already, oh my god. I want to watch a first-person VOD of him playing Naga Siren sometime. But Johnny, he got disrupted. Soulcatcher's there as well. Overgrowth onto all of them, though. And there's the leap out. Over the defensive disruption is there. The call down only ultimately catches one. I thought it would catch three. Kai, but the demonic purge onto Johnny, but Johnny gets graved. Kai, he goes down as well. Polison, he's quite tanky. He's got his back turned. And Chibix came in with the Omni Slash, but not going to be able to do too much with it. He's going to be able to get out under the cover of Moonlight Shadow, but they have a Sentry Ward. Okay, just going to casually walk by each other. That's totally fine too. Polison, they're going to be pursuing Miracle in the mid lane. He does have Song if he needs it. He did pop the drum charge earlier. And Polison, he's getting pursued out. He's still pretty tanky, popping the Bristleback. Going to die to the negative earn charge and the right clicks. So big fights coming out. Miracle looks like he's just going to be cutting the wave, which needs to be done. I think, and with Lycan, you can fight backdoor region if you really, really need to, but he knows that everyone's here. He has his boots to travel, so he's going to be looking to cut the 30-second wave.
Dyer's bottom tower is under
Cut the 30-second wave.
Dyer's structures are fortified.
Oh yeah, and Chivix is actually split pushing. He actually lived during that. It was really funny. He just casually walks by the Sentry Ward, and Gyrocopter's like, fine, this too shall pass. And getting to cut the waves, playing pretty smart here, trying to waste time and getting more farm out of the map. Just this is what Scythe are known for. This is what they're good at, and they just know how to play this style so well. Meanwhile, I think Necro, no, it looks like just Necro 2. Necro 3 going to be done on your Lycanthrope. So, if we're looking at the item progression, we did finish up the treads here for Polison, so he's got a decent bit more mana pool. We have another set of Drill for Juggernaut, so he has all the mana he really needs. Sitting at 4 mana per second, it's actually really, really good for him, because he only has a mana pool of 500, so he pretty much has hit the infinite sustain mark already. He pretty much never needs to go back to base, unless he dies, so unless he goes back in a coffin. MKB going to be coming up on Lance, probably going to see that. Oh, Juggernaut actually spends the Omni Slash to kill the tree. Totally worth it there. It's on the Aghanim Scepter sort of level with the 60-second cooldown, I think it is, but that means that there's no living armor on this tower. There's no glyph as well. Going to look for the deny. Nope. Going to be killed by the range creep. That 23 damage, way too good. 27 damage. So kind of cutesy there. Tide does pick up the blink down in the meantime. Standard build. That's going to be MKB followed up by the Butterfly coming up for Lance. Going to be the Necro on the Invoker. Jesus. Going to be DDZ. He's not playing Invoker this game. He's playing Lycan. So I would suspect that. Probably an Assault Cuirass after that. Going to be really synergizing with the minus armor coming up from Weave, Gush, and all the physical damage as well, which would pretty much mean that Scythe would all melt because it would all be taken beyond pure damage. So they're going to be chipping away here. Polison kills the Necro minion, takes a lot of damage from the last will. Miracle, he's cutting the wave, pops a drum charge. He's going to find a courier. Moonlight Shadow is there. He should kill the courier. Want to kill the courier? He lets the courier live. He's a merciful Sama. But still, now Infinity's pushing the top lane. He's going to be going for a Maelstrom. Bit of a utility item. Juggernaut gets the bottom tower as well. I'm pretty surprised that split push is working. A Miracle comes in with the ensnare after the shapeshift, and they're able to kill them. Arrow, they're just getting outmaneuvered right now. They have so many. Wait, they just called GG? What? Are you kidding? It's not. What? Okay. Idra GG timing there, but okay. I didn't think it was that over. They were in a bad position, but I mean, okay. They just want to move on to game 2. Well, alright, so once again, this is a 2-game series between Arrow and Scythe for the joinDOTA League Asia Division 1. So, Don't go anywhere, everyone. We're going to be getting into Game 2 right away. We'll see you in just a couple of minutes. Once again, I am Roxas. This is brought to you by HeflaTV. If you liked us, follow us on HeflaTV on Facebook and Twitter, and follow us on HeflaMoke on YouTube. So, see you in just a moment. Be right back.